Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. In today's video, I want to talk about how to fight depression. This is a topic that probably hits home for a lot of us. I want you to know that if depression is an issue you're currently dealing with, you are not alone in your struggle. The World Health Organization actually estimates that over 300 million people around the world are currently dealing with depression. Unfortunately, it's an issue that continues to be on the rise. So it's a really important topic, and I want to, first of all, talk about what depression actually is, to define that for you a little bit, because it is a word that gets thrown around quite a lot. And then also talk about some of the triggers, things that can trigger a major depressive episode, and finish off the video with some ideas for how to fight depression. Before we jump in real quick, this is a really new channel, so I want to welcome you, especially if this is your first time here, and introduce myself. I am a mental health therapist and life coach making videos on the topics of mental health to support you and a generation of people who are really dedicated to caring for their mind, body, and life. So if you do like this video, please help me out and hit that like button, and I would love to have you become one of my first subscribers. I promise to keep making videos every week. So let's start with the symptoms that make up a major depressive episode. The DSM-5 has a bunch of criteria for a major depressive episode. It requires that we be experiencing at least 5 of the following symptoms, most if not all of the day, for a minimum of 2 weeks, and that these symptoms be affecting multiple areas of our life. So school, work, social life, everything is affected. So 5 of the following symptoms for a major depressive episode. I'll take you through them. The first symptom is a depressed mood. So here's my thing about moods. Moods are a lot like weather patterns, okay? They're constantly changing. Sometimes we wake up in the morning and it feels really bright and sunny in terms of our mood. Sometimes it's a little bit more cloudy. Sometimes it's like raining cats and dogs, right? So a depressed mood is sadness, a feeling of emptiness, feelings of hopelessness. If you're a kid or a teenager, you might come across as particularly irritable when you are depressed. Another symptom you may experience is just no interest in things. In our activities, the things we used to enjoy, nothing excites us anymore. We also may have a big change in our appetite or even in our weight, having a lot of either weight gain or weight loss. And our sleep patterns start to change. We end up sleeping way too much or way too little. Other people may perceive you as being way more restless than you usually are, or way more slowed down than is normal for you. And the technical term for those two things is motor agitation or hypoactivation. We also may feel really tired and just have no energy no matter how much we sleep. Also really self-critical thoughts that lead to kind of feelings of worthlessness, a lot of excessive guilt. We can also have a hard time making decisions and focusing. Concentration is often affected when we're feeling really depressed. And finally, thoughts of death, thoughts of committing suicide, maybe even a plan or an attempt. So let me just do the time out here for a second and say that if this is a very serious impulse you're currently dealing with, then please call the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline or a local emergency telephone number, or just go to your nearest emergency room. This is one of the symptoms of depression. And so suicidality, thoughts about suicide, that impulse, that's all actually very normal with depression. It's also very treatable. So those are the 9 symptoms that make up a major depressive episode. Like I said, we have to have 5 of these for a minimum of 2 weeks, most if not all of the day, and it has to be impacting lots of areas of our life to be given that diagnosis of a major depressive episode. So genetics and physiology. If your parents dealt with this diagnosis, then you become 2 to 4 times more likely to deal with it too. If you have a chronic medical condition like diabetes or cardiovascular disease, obesity, all of these chronic conditions also leave us more vulnerable for dealing with depression. Perhaps, keeping self-care more towards the top of your priority list could be a good thing for you. But environment plays the biggest role. If we're in a really chronic stress situation, or if we have a lot of social conflicts in our life, or if we don't have enough social interaction in our life, if we tend to isolate, all of those things environmentally are common triggers for developing a major depressive episode. The biggest recommendation I have for you is that you put together a super team to help you fight depression. That includes a mental health therapist, a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist can help you with the pharmacology side. Go see your medical doctor, get a physical, make sure there's nothing else going on. Get your friends and family on board. But treatment is the most important part. 40% of people who go to treatment are recovered from depression within 3 months. 80% are recovered within a year. So getting help is really important. My next recommendation is that you create a wellness plan for yourself, an action plan that targets those specific symptoms that you're dealing with. So I mentioned a depressed mood, which I related to weather patterns. Mindfulness meditation is a good way of learning some new skills for dealing with a depressed mood. Because through a mindfulness practice, which is basically our ability to stay present in the moment, in the here and now, engaged in what we're doing, kind of non-judgmentally aware of our thoughts and feelings, we can start to see that depressed mood as being a weather pattern passing through us. We can have more patience with ourselves, more understanding with ourselves. We can notice the difference between our mood and who we really are. The second symptom we talked about was a lack of interest in things, in our activities. And I also mentioned again that we're social creatures. So doing the opposite, writing down all of the activities you used to enjoy, all of the people you used to enjoy hanging out with, and going and making an effort to engage in those things, even though you don't feel like it. I mentioned a change in appetite, sometimes with weight loss or weight gain. Getting good nutrition, making sure you're eating healthy. Good nutrition is going to have a really big effect on your physiology and help you have the energy to deal with this depression. The next symptom we talked about was sleep. So doing things that promote good sleep habits, like taking a bath an hour before bed, turning off the TV, lighting some candles, putting on some nice, calming, relaxing music. All of these things that induce good sleep, that promote relaxation, a sense of calmness, are going to calm your nervous system and help you get the rest you need in order to recover. Being particularly slowed down, not having any energy. Exercise is the best way to combat this symptom of depression. Depression is experienced a lot as an emotion. Emotion is literally energy in motion. That's how it gets its name. When you take that energy in motion, that emotion, and you kind of clamp it down within you and you don't let it be in motion, you create this pressure cooker inside and you start to feel it bubbling underneath. So those depressive symptoms are exacerbated. All of that is exacerbated when we don't let that depressed emotion, that energy in motion, get released through daily exercise. So you can start small, go for a walk. If you have dogs, take them for a walk. Get outside in the fresh air. Physical activity every day is going to really make a difference when you're dealing with depression. If you're experiencing a lot of feelings of worthlessness or guilt, then this is where therapy can be especially useful. Cognitive behavioral therapy or a mindfulness-based behavioral therapy, some type of therapy, working with a counselor who can help you build a new relationship with your kind of inner world, which can either perpetuate all of those depressive symptoms or help you recover from them. And finally, the thoughts about suicidality. I already mentioned, if you're in an emergency situation, treat it like an emergency. Go get yourself some help immediately, and definitely engage in treatment. So those are my ideas for fighting depression, as well as some of the common reasons and triggers for potentially developing a major depressive episode. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. And I would also want to encourage you to engage in those comments, to share your story if you or somebody that you love has been dealing with depression. What are some ways that you or they fought through the depression and won? If you liked this video, again, hit that like button, and I would love to have you subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video. Bye.